Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a really intense, high-stakes topic today. We are looking at the heavily regulated world of commercial trucking. Specifically, we're unpacking the shocking online confession that recently set off a massive debate in the trucking community. It's a debate that pits the immediate temptation of quick cash against the long-term and sometimes totally devastating realities of safety and career survival.
So this whole conversation actually kicked off from one specific, honestly pretty wild comment left on a trucking video. The commenter bluntly stated, "I'll run illegal with the Russians if the money is right." I mean, wow. This is a public admission that they're totally willing to bypass federal safety regulations, specifically hours of service, if a carrier just pays them enough. It's a really stark confession that kind of stops you in your tracks. They're essentially saying that if the price is high enough, the rules just don't apply to them.
Which brings us to the core tension of our explainer today. Is the money ever truly right? The source material describes this financial temptation like a carrot dangled in front of a rabbit. It's that lure of a quick buck that suddenly makes the rulebook seem optional. But grabbing that carrot? Well, it usually triggers a chain reaction of risks that most people just don't calculate until it is way, way too late.
Section 1. Risking the CDL.
Look, the actual tangible value of a commercial driver's license, a CDL, goes way beyond just checking a box on a form. According to our source, getting a CDL is a massive investment. We're talking up to $5,000 in weeks, sometimes months in school just to land that first job. For someone who maybe used to work at Amazon or McDonald's, this license isn't just a piece of plastic, right? It's their entire career. It's how they put food on the table. And the hours of service, or HOS, well, those are the federal rules designed to protect that career and the public by capping driving time. So when a driver ignores HOS for cash, they're gambling with their absolute livelihood.
And doing that creates a serious psychological trap. It's a slippery slope. Say a driver runs illegal just once, just to see if they can, and nothing bad happens. They get away with it. Well, what's stopping them from doing it again? Step 1 is compromising just that one time for the money. But step 2, as the source notes, is that the second time is a hell of a lot easier. By step 3, you're doing it over and over until extreme danger just becomes your daily normal. You completely convince yourself it's fine. And honestly, that comfort level is incredibly dangerous.
Section 2. The reality of driver fatigue.
Take the number 24. Our source material highlights this shocking anecdote about a driver they spoke with. This guy was operating out of Texas near the Mexican border, hauling loads all the way up to Wisconsin, and he admitted to being awake for 24 hours straight. Why? He was working at this insane pace to fund a 1,000-acre farm he bought in the middle of the desert in Egypt. The drive to make that money was just so strong, he pushed his body to a full 24 hours without rest.
So how much sleep do you think he actually got to recover from that? 30 minutes. Exactly 30 minutes of sleep after being awake for 2 solid days. The source points out how absurd this is, even calling the driver a beast. But beneath that is a terrifying reality. Operating a commercial vehicle on half an hour of sleep, that is a recipe for absolute disaster.
And just to complete this picture of total absurdity, look at the distance he was covering. 2,500 miles straight. According to the source, this driver was pulling in up to $5,000 a week doing this. But how do you run 2,500 miles straight on 30 minutes of sleep without the DOT catching you? Well, the driver openly admitted his dispatchers were completely falsifying his logbooks. The logs say one thing, but his exhausted body was telling a totally different story.
Which really forces us to ask a highly uncomfortable question. Imagine you're just cruising down the highway, your spouse is next to you, the kids are in the backseat playing tic-tac-toe. Would you want an 80,000-pound truck driving right beside your car, piloted by someone who's been awake for 24 hours and only slept for 30 minutes? Obviously, no way. The decisions truck drivers make about their hours of service don't just happen in a vacuum. They directly impact every single person sharing that highway with them.
And right here, our source tackles a massive myth in the industry. This idea that veteran drivers just know their own bodies. The truth is actually pretty stark. Fatigue doesn't ask permission. It does not care how tough you think you are. You can feel absolutely fine right up until the exact moment your eyes roll back and close. And it only takes 2 seconds. Just a 2-second lapse at highway speeds is all it takes to instantly and permanently alter someone's life.
Because when that inevitable crash happens, the conversation changes instantly. Suddenly, you're not counting cash. You're dealing with lawyers, cops, DOT investigators, massive insurance claims, courtrooms, news cameras swarming the scene, and tragically, crying families grieving a missing loved one. The source makes it crystal clear here.
All that money dangling in front of your face doesn't matter one single bit when you are staring down this list.
Section 3. Your digital footprint. Let's compare two totally different perspectives here. When a driver leaves a comment online saying they'll run illegal for the right price, they probably think they're just making a quick buck, right? Just hustling to get ahead. But what do the insurance companies see? As the source points out, insurance companies are the true gatekeepers of this industry. They're the ones who actually approve hires, and when they see a driver publicly stating they'll ignore federal safety rules for cash, they don't see a hustler. They see a massive, uninsurable liability.
Because it comes down to a very simple truth. The internet is forever. Sometimes people type before they think, but imagine an investigator or a safety director at a company you really want to work for coming across your comment. That foolish boast about running illegal can follow you everywhere you go, permanently torpedoing your future job prospects. I mean, it is not a great interview answer to have to explain why you openly volunteered to violate federal regulations.
Section 4. Protecting your career.
The source really highlights a massive systemic issue here. When drivers openly admit they'll break safety rules if the money's right, they are literally volunteering to be exploited. This empowers what the source calls black op carriers, a lot of times operating out of places like Chicago, by giving them exactly what they want, drivers willing to do anything for $1. If drivers volunteer to ignore the rules, these shady companies have zero incentive to ever improve working conditions. And honestly, it just destroys any respect for the drivers and the industry as a whole.
So, what's the actual solution? The source lays out some very clear, uncompromising actions a driver has to take to protect their license. Step 1, simply say no when a dispatcher demands you run illegal. Step 2, refuse to move the truck. If you are tired, you pull over. And Step 3, if they threaten your job over it, you quit. There are plenty of other carriers out there who operate legally and will gladly give you a chance. You absolutely do not have to stay in a dangerous situation.
And this right here perfectly captures why you have to protect your license at all times. As the source powerfully states, there isn't a spare CDL sitting on a shelf waiting for you if yours gets taken away. A CDL is not an easy thing to replace. If it gets damaged or revoked because of federal violations, your entire career, the literal career that feeds your family, can just instantly vanish.
We're going to wrap up today's explainer with this incredibly powerful final thought straight from the source. Is the money ever truly right? Ultimately, no paycheck, no matter how big it is worth having to sit down and explain to a family why someone they love isn't coming home tonight, all because you decided the money was worth breaking the rules. It leaves us with a really provocative question to think about. If the true cost of running illegal isn't just your license, but human life, why do we let the carrot keep dangling? Thanks so much for joining me as we explore this material today, and as always, keep questioning what's beneath the surface.